part of God of War, one of the greatest quotes I ever got from Todd Pappy is, "It's not just nudity and violence, it's historically accurate nudity and violence." How awkward is it to design or work with or animate a topless female character?
I'm not an animator, so I don't know, but I think the guys that get to animate it probably enjoy it a little bit.
Really? Okay, it actually is fun?
I don't know. I mean, they look good, so.
At what point do you decide to make beetles come out of a naked woman's chest?
That was a weird one. I think that particular Fury, she's supposed to be pretty creepy and a little bit just like disgusting. So I think if it makes you feel a little bit eerie and uncomfortable, I think that was the purpose.
Do you enjoy working on a straight out unabashed M-rated title? Do you find it a challenge? Do you enjoy that challenge?
I think it's important for a game to appeal to the proper audience, and so if we're an M-rated title, I feel like we should live up to that. And God of War is not a game for teenagers. It's just not. It's a game for the guys who grew up playing Super Nintendo and PlayStation 1 and things like that, and now they want to play those classic games with the classic gameplay, but it's for them. It's for the adults. They don't mind seeing a little bit of nudity or a little bit of violence. In fact, to them it's kind of exciting and fun because it doesn't take itself too seriously. It's just all about the entertainment value.
Now, the thought about not putting female playable characters in the multiplayer, I know you guys kind of had your back against a wall on that one, but what was finally the thing that tipped the decision there? Do you know?
We just couldn't. We just couldn't do it. We actually had it working, and the female character and like the skeletal structure just didn't work well with all the moves.
Structure?
Yeah, that's the only reason, really. It's just, I guess the posture and everything, just everything about the female anatomy wasn't working well on the Spartan rig we had. So we have one rig for the character, and it just didn't work. So we couldn't everything is essentially a budget and a time thing. We could have had female characters in, but then we would have had to lose so much more because we had to redo 6,000 animations. It's just not worth it at that point. So
it wasn't a political choice, it was a technical one.
Yep, totally technical. Yep.
Now, you mentioned subtlety before, and I know people don't realize subtlety in a game of this scope, but what was the biggest technical challenge of doing something of this scale? Because the game, the levels, the enemies, the character, it's all huge.
Well, there's different challenges for different parts of the game. For example, in single player, we have hecatoncheires. It's a titan with a giant city on it. So that essentially, then you've got the whole city moving. And then one of the other big things that is always a challenge for us is we don't have load times. So we need to hide load times. It means we have to constantly be streaming. And that's difficult in itself. It would be one thing for us to, you play through a certain part of the level and then, you open a door and then it sits there and it's like loading for 15 seconds or something. We would love that. That would be great. But as artists, it would be so much easier. Sure. But that's always a challenge, just to get that loading working. On the multiplayer side, essentially we have 8 Kratoses running around doing 8 versions of moves with 8 different armor sets and weapon sets.
On at least 3 levels.
Right. It's when we finally got 8 in the game working, just in a box room with nothing in it, it was running at 10 frames a second. And we thought, okay, how are we ever going to do this? And it took years of just optimizing the code and the art and the moves and the effects and the animation, literally everything. We had to rewrite everything. Finally, we got it running, and so it was a performance challenge on the multiplayer side. Just how do you get all these, the levels are so big, and with the desert level with the God Spear coming down, we have levels in the final game that are 3 times bigger than that, and there's just so much more going on in those levels, and it's just every little thing had to be built as optimal as possible just to get that level of fit. So down to the end where a couple days before the game, going out to manufacturing, we're like, okay, this level isn't running, it's still crashing out of memory, but we got it.
What was the part in your work on it that you just sort of looked at it and you totally stepped away from it, got some distance, went, that was cool, we did good? What's that moment for you?
That moment's right about now, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Done?
Yeah, 2012 was a really tough time for our studio because we knew we had really cool ideas. It's just getting them done. It's one thing to get ideas out there, but someone come up with an idea, but it could take 1,000 hours just to implement. And so we had all these ideas. We knew we had a good game, and we just had to finish it and get it up to our standards of the polish and all that, the presentation quality. It's 2012.
Burning Ring.
Now I haven't looked at it.
Ares warriors utilize fire to strengthen their physical attacks and set their enemies ablaze. Gaining life with every encounter, the skills and power of his champions grow with each assault. Although the defense of the warriors pledged to Ares may lack prowess, their unforgiving offensive attacks make up for any weakness. Ares' relentless firepower sets him apart from all others and confirms his namesake as the...
You know, it's tricky. I think a lot of people get stuck on the violence, maybe, about God of War, or maybe our studio in general. It's entertainment, and I think people blame violence in video games, things like that. And you'll go see Zero Dark 30, and you'll see like assassinations and everything. This game, it's not hyper realistic or anything. God of War is a little bit not cartoony, but it's definitely fantasy based, and we just want people to have fun and not get too bent up on the violence. It's just, it's entertainment, go have fun. It's not for kids, it's for adults. No one's going to reenact these in real life, and it's purely entertainment, and that's what it comes down to. I think we're kind of misunderstood for that.
You guys are all just sadists who like seeing bloody stuff.
I think the industry in general is tired of being blamed for violence in schools and things like that. This really has nothing. Movies are violent. Movies don't get blamed. Going to a gun range, shooting targets is violent. You could say so. I think the industry as a whole is misunderstood, and hopefully we can kind of get away from that eventually.